All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and we're starting on the way to building this St. Louis Blues Line website. I wanted to show you, I did fix that homepage. The reason that it didn't work, just so you see it, is I had taken this class, which I wanted to put, and I put it for some reason, I put it under the A tag. It should have been under the LI. Okay? Now, that said, I'm going to close all this stuff because I want to show you that indeed I am starting. All right, I indeed am starting with a fresh slate. So, what we had done earlier, a lot of stuff open here. What we had done earlier, let's see, I created this thing called, and of course I can't find it right now. Let me pause for a second and I'll find it. All right, I did find it. I've got this HTML5 BP that I had in my downloads. I'm going to, let's copy it. So I'm going to copy it to my desktop and open it. This is the one that I'd shown you earlier that I literally copied over. I just want you to see it. There's nothing up my sleeve, as they say. That's all that's in it. All right. So I'm going to start removing what I don't need from here to create. Remember, this is a simple little site. So I want to remove all of this stuff and all of this stuff. I'm going to keep my index file. In CSS, I'll keep the main, and I want to change the name of main. Typically it's called style.css, so I'm going to keep that. In fact, you know what? Let's keep that in there. We'll keep the main, and I'm going to make my own. So there's main.css. Let's copy main. And let's paste it in. So this will be mine, and I'm going to call it style.css. And just so you know, everything's gone from it now. There's my, oops, I opened the wrong one. I want style is the one I want to open. So is main still got my stuff in it? Yes, it does. So I can remove that. Let's open up style. Come on. Highlight all of it, hit delete, and save. So now, as you can see, my style file, 0. There's nothing in it. Okay? All right. This is the documentation. I don't really need that, so I'm going to get rid of it. I'm trying to clean this up, so to speak. All right? My images, I don't even know what that is, but I'm just get rid of that. My JavaScript, okay? What I'm going to do is my jQuery and my modernizer. I'm just going to grab those. I'll leave them there. That's fine. This will be my main file, so I'm going to leave all that in there. The only other thing I want to show you is as far as my images, because I don't want to waste a lot of time doing this with you. So what I'm going to do is for my images, I'm going to grab the images that I already had. And the ones that I need are, I'm just going to grab the ones that I need. I don't know if I need that one or not. I was playing around with that. But you know what? I'm going to keep those anyway. Like I said, I don't probably need them, but I'm going to copy. I'm looking and my logo isn't here. That's not a good sign. But I'm going to paste these in. In fact, this is wrong. I don't need any of these. Once again, if you would, please let me pause. I'll grab the images and then we'll get started. Okay, so I found the images. All I want for now is this logo file that you see right here and this picture of a blue line that you see right there. Okay? So with that said, let's go in. So again, just so there's nothing up my sleeve, those are the same files I showed you. Those two images. JavaScript, and our index file. So let's open up our index file and start hopefully making some magic happen. All right. Well, I'm going to add some stuff in here. For instance, I'm going to add a description. And those are words that, again, this should be 140 characters or less that the browser or a search engine could look through to see what your site's about. So I'm just going to put St. Louis Blues hockey site. Now, that's not a great explanation, but it's the one I'm going to use. I'm also going to put a meta tag with name equal author and content equal, and I'll put my name in there. All right. Also, what you typically find are a list of keywords. So if somebody were to be searching the internet, these are the kind of words that they might enter. So I'm going to say equal keywords. Whoops. Come on. And I'll put in here, I don't know, St. Louis Blues hockey, NHL for National Hockey League. That's enough. All right. So I've got all that stuff in there. Okay. Let's add a title. I didn't see a title in. Oh, there it is. It's up there, but it's blank. Now, to show you too, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to separate my sections. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to put it down here. Again, you don't have to do that. Doesn't make the site run any better. I could have put messages here explaining the character set, i.e., the description, the author, the keywords, the mobile first thing, etc. But for the title, I'm going to have each page have a title, and the title is going to be St. Louis Blues Line. It's a little play on words, and this will be the home page. Okay. So when I run this now, it's got St. Louis Blues, and I'm going to get rid of that green in just a minute. Okay, that's all that's in it right now. Now, I'm not going to run this on a Mac, so I am going to get rid of this. You could keep that. It wouldn't hurt anything. All right, I'm adding my CSS normalize, my CSS main, and I'm going to add my CSS style. That's the one I'm creating. Okay, so I've done that. Here's my modernizer. Here's what's called my HTML shiv. All right. So I've got all that stuff in there. That's everything. Okay? Now, I'm going to add all of my content in here right now. I'm going to add all of my content. So I'm going to get rid of this. So it says add your site or application stuff here. I'm going to do that right now. But I'm going to, in later versions, I'm going to add the CSS. So this will be totally unformatted. But that said, I am still going to use tags, and I'm going to use IDs, etc., and divs and whatever. So I'm going to have everything I have in here, within a main. In fact, I'm not even going to do that. Let's put in our header first. Always a good idea with some editors, when you put in a beginning tag, it'll put the ending tag in there for you. So add your site or application content here. Boom. I'm going to put a comment here. You don't have to do this. End header. Okay. All right. And I'm going to put everything, I'm going to put div class equal container. All right. So everything's going to be in a container class, so I want to end that div. So this will be end container div. Okay. Inside of there, I'm going to have another div where we're going to actually put some branding information in there. So the other ones had a class. This has an ID of branding, so there'll be only one of these on the page, where I could have multiple containers and will have multiple containers on the page. Now, again, I can go as nutso about this as I want to. So I can line everything up so they're nice little soldiers. All right, that's up to you. I'll leave it like that. So inside of my branding div, I'm going to have my first thing. I'm going to have an H1 tag, and that's going to hold an image. The source is going to be in my images folder, and it's that blue line, 2.jpg. My alt tag is going to say just blue line. Again, that alt tag would come up if I put a wrong path to the file or whatever. Some reason the image couldn't load. All right. I'm going to put in my width, which was 438 pixels, and I'm going to put in my height, which is 115 pixels. All right, and then I can end my H1. Now, just so you know, sometimes people have questions on this. How did I know the size? There's different ways that you can figure out the size of your image. One way is sometimes if you just take, I don't want that one, that's the old version. Sometimes if you just take, I think this is it, yep, and you put your mouse over it, it'll show it. See, there's 273 by 185. There's 438 by 115, which is, I think, the numbers I used. Yep, 438 and 115. All right. The other way that you can always figure it out is to right mouse click on it, on the image, do an open with, open it in Internet Explorer, right mouse click on the image and choose properties, and then it'll also show you the size. All right, I see I made a mistake here. I didn't have my equal sign. Okay, so the only thing that's in here right now, and let me go into my style, not my style file. Let's open this main where I put that body background green. I'm going to get rid of that. I don't need it. Okay, so right now, when we just looked at the thing, that's what it looked like. Now, it looks like this. And, well, it's good that we looked because for some reason it's not finding this. So, let's look and see if we can figure out why that's the case. It's because I called it images, I think, not image. Nope. So let's look. Oh, you know what? They called it IMG, and I think I may have called it the same thing. IMG. So let's change the name of that. I like images. Okay? Well, now let's see if that fixed the problem that we had. And there's our image. Okay? That's our start. Doesn't look very good. Not very much in there, but it's a start. Remember, there is no CSS with it, so it's going to look bad, at least for a while. All right? Then underneath that, I'm going to put in my nav. This will be my menu, for lack of better words. And my nav will be the same on each page. It'll be an unordered list. And it's going to say LI just so you can see how this looks right now, which is not very appetizing. That's what we now have. Okay? Again, no CSS on here. I'm going to copy this twice because we're going to have 3 pages. We're going to have index, and we're going to have an about page, so there'll be an about.html, which I'll build in the next lecture, and a contact.html, which I'll build in the lecture after that. So that's about, and that's contact. Also, I'm going to have a class here that says class equal active, so that the class that's currently up will be bolded. All right, but as you can see, this really doesn't look like very much right now. All right, that said, we've got a good start on this. We're about 1/3 of the way finished with our homepage. It doesn't look like it, but we are. All right, so that pretty much is the end of our header section. So that's everything that we saw from here through here. So we had a div of container, and there it ended. We had a div of branding, and there that ended. And we had inside of the branding, we had our H1. In fact, that branding is going to be just for our H1 tags. So let me grab this. Sorry. Put that there. All right. And then we had our nav. All right. And our nav had our unordered list in it. Okay. So that's everything so far. And again, just so you see this, it didn't change anything, me moving that around. There it is. So that's what we have so far. So let's put in our section. And we're actually going to have multiple sections. So each section can, will, should have an ID. We're going to call this one showcase because this is what we're showcasing. All right. So the first thing we're going to have in here is another container. All right. And in that container div, I'm going to put in my logo. Again, I'm a little bit anal about this stuff, sorry. Okay. Images logo.ping, alt will be equal to logo. And again, even though I don't have to do it, I've got the width, which is equal to 275 pixels, and I've got the height, which is equal to 183 pixels. And after that, I'm going to have an H1 tag. And that H1 tag is going to just say the St. Louis Blues line. Okay, we can take a look at what we've got. Okay, there it is. Not much. And I'm looking here, and I'm not sure why that I must have forgotten to close one of my tags here. Forgot to close all of my tags there. And let's see if that cleaned that up. And it did. Good. All right. So again, I'm in my showcase div. This is a play on words. Hockey has a blue line and the St. Louis Blues. So that's where it came from. If you say, well, that's kind of hokey, okay. So again, I'm going to separate this out. So let's separate out everything. There was my div. It had the H1, my nav. I like that, the way that looks. There's my H1. So now I'm going to have a couple paragraphs. All right. Paragraphs, again, are block level elements, meaning there'll be a blank space before them and a blank space after them. So, welcome to the St. Louis Blues line. We are your one-stop shop for all things St. Louis Blues. Okay, that's the first paragraph. This is how I format things, so if you don't like the way it is, you should, of course, format it whatever way you're comfortable with. In the very near future, we plan on adding an online store. So check back often. Okay, well, let's see what we've got now. A couple paragraphs. And we're about halfway done with our home page. Doesn't look like it, but we are. You'll have to take my word for it. Okay, so, all right, let's keep going. And it's time for another section. So what we just did in the very near future, etc., we first, this is our header area. It had that image and it had that nav in it. This is what we just created, was this blue area right there. Now we're going to create this little area down here in another section for our newsletter. Then we'll have another section down here that we'll put our videos in, and another section down here for our footer, and then we'll be done with the home page. All right, where am I for time? I'm at 22 minutes, so I'm going to break this up into another lecture. So I'll be back with that shortly.